relax, drink, get comfy, and it's going to be a real fun ride. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for the run. Is there anyone you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before we transition here?
Just to thank all people that have supported me and during my runs or during my trainings.
Alrighty, everybody. Like I said, it was going to be fast, but yeah, it is now time for RoadKill's Xenoclash 2 run. And if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and get going, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, don't mind if I do. Hey everybody, glad to be here. I am RoadKillRevenge. I am a speedrunner of weird indie games like this one and also platformers and stuff. And I'm really excited to be showing this game off to you all today. It's a very obscure first-person brawler that maybe some people, in the audience have heard or played. It's a very interesting game with a lot of weird physics and weird world design, and it's some cool stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be running any percent, which means that I just have to get through the game as fast as possible. Y'all probably know the drill on that. And so yeah, I'm excited to get started. So time is going to start as soon as I do an input here on single player game, and then time is going to be up when I get the final hit on the final boss at the end. So yeah, y'all ready? Let's get going in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so Xenoclash 2. This is the sequel to, as you might imagine, Xenoclash 1. We're getting a very brief cutscene here where it describes some of the events of the first game, but I can actually do blind movement during this time, even though I cannot skip this cutscene. And yeah, and right after this is over, it's going to jump right into the action, and I'm going to frantically be trying to explain the mechanics while also not failing this fight, and it's going to be terrible, and it's going to be awesome. Essentially, this is a first-person brawler, which means that I get to control my left and right fist with the different buttons on my controller. And here we go. So, as you can see, the characters in Xenozoic are colorful. And here at the very beginning, we choose violence and start a bar fight, as we do. And so here at the very beginning, I'm just going to be trying to get through this as fast as possible and hopefully not using too much of my stamina. Because later on, here in just a moment, you'll see that this game has 3 meters to pay attention to, which are health, stamina, and a rage meter. I actually have all of those 3 during this fight, but we can't see them. Just because it's a tutorial and they don't want you to have to worry about those numbers yet. So now that I finished this fight, I can go ahead and move on and run through the next area. That was actually a pretty good bar fight. I'm really pleased with that as a marathon bar fight. So yeah, in combat, I'm essentially going to be aiming to do some very specific moves that are efficient in terms of stamina and in terms of damage. So as you can see, you can see my health, rage meter, and stamina now. And the way stamina works in this game is that, as you might imagine, things like running, doing certain types of attacks will use stamina. And in combat, you really don't want to lose stamina, because if you do that, you go into this sort of gray screen that you all are going to be seeing a lot during this run. And that's really slow because I can't use all of my attacks or move as quickly. However, once you fully reset your stamina, it will very quickly recover it back to 70% full stamina. So I'm going to be manipulating that to basically be running as much as possible. So I'm going to be spending that skill point there because for some reason coming out of that area you can't start moving immediately, but I can't open my menu there, so it's a good place to spend skill points. And now I'm going to be running over to this jail. To break out Father Mother. So, as a very brief summary of sort of the lore of what the heck is going on here. In Xenoclash, essentially everybody lives in this very anarchic society where people are weird and they don't have laws and they do whatever they want, basically. At the end of the first game, a character got introduced called the Golem. He decided that he was going to institute law on the world of Xenozoic, and so he built this jail, and he arrested this character called the Father Mother, who did some serious crimes as part of the plot of the first game, and but Father Mother is our sort of like adopted parent, and so we are rescuing him from the jail. Cool, and so I'm doing a little bit of blind movement here. I've been carrying this gun with me all the way through the jail just so I can use it during this fight. And let's hope our RNG is going to be doing good for us here, because sometimes an enemy in this fight gets stuck on a set of stairs, which is a pain because then we have to go and clean him up, and we actually got really good RNG and both of the enemies came down the stairs. Alright, guns in this game have very limited ammo, but they're very powerful. And essentially the reason I was positioning like that was so that I could hit them sort of in a group. That actually was really good. That was a really good jailbreak. I'm cheesed. Yeah, so a lot of this game routing is just manipulating when we're using what weapons for what fights, because they're very, very powerful and they break very easy. I actually think I only had like one more hit, maybe two more hits on that hammer before it broke. But because I loaded a cutscene, it actually resets the durability of the hammer, so I can take it with me into this next fight. So I'm going to be doing that, and running straight towards it here. This next fight does have a soft lock, so often in this game you can just spam the A button to skip cutscenes, but you really don't want to do that, because if you do, you can... it's not really a soft lock, it just makes it to where you can't skip the cutscene, which is slow. So yeah, I'm going to be taking this hammer with me all the way over to this next fight, because again, whenever there's a lot of enemies in a group, hammers are really, really great for cleaning them up. Alright, so as you can see, I can call an ally into this fight if I want to, but I'm not going to. The allies in this game are mostly used for controlling aggro of enemies. They don't really do that much damage to help you. There were definitely places where they're useful, but they do go on cooldown between fights, so I'm definitely very choosy about which fights I bring the extra characters into and which ones I do not. So right here, Father Mother's helping us out a lot, and there is some RNG with how much he actually helps and how much he hurts, because there is friendly fire in this game. And that actually, again, man, this run is going like... is going really well so far. I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen later in the run. So yeah, we got rid of the first enemies. We don't have to fight any of the new guys that spawn in there. And so I try not to move too much, just to let my stamina sort of come back, because now we're going to be taking a nice little jaunt across the canyon. Yeah, you might be noticing me, and I'm going to be doing this here in just a moment. So like I described earlier, whenever my stamina gets low, I start to not be able to sprint. And so I will do like an attack to empty my stamina so that it will recharge. So I'm just going to punch this guy and steal his gun. And that dog thing is going to be rude, but that's fine. We don't have to fight any of these guys, so I'm just going to take his gun because it's really useful in the next fight. So I'm going to be throwing this gun so that I can use an attack quickly. And picking the gun back up just so that I can reset my stamina, and as you can see, it recharges. Okay, so onward. This fight is an interesting one. It's going to be a lot more of figuring out what enemies have weapons I want to steal for further fights and things like that. This is a fight that I actually used to bring Rimmot into, but I think, in my opinion, she's way more useful for the next fight, but... honestly, that's pretty subjective in terms of this game, where you use what companions where. Okay, so we're on the run now because we broke Father Mother out of jail. And now all these new cops are coming to get us. So we are going to destroy them. Oh my god. He is being extra mean today. Hello. Okay. And shooting that guy once made him drop a gun, which I'm going to be picking up here in a moment as soon as I wrap up the last enemy. I'm going to be throwing that gun, picking up this one, and did somebody not die? Okay, yeah. Oh, he's like full health. Okay, so I'm improvising a little bit here. Normally that guy is like already dead, so I don't know what happened there. And now where did the gun go?
Let's get
there, okay. Okay, if you don't pick that up before the cutscene triggers, you don't have it anymore, so Unfortunately, I did waste one shot of ammo on that guy, but that's not really a huge deal. This gun is the one that I want because it has a lot of ammo and fires relatively quickly. A lot of the guns in this game are really powerful, but have low reload times and things like that, and in this next segment I'm going to be using it to one-hit kill some enemies, hopefully. But I'm going to throw it so I can grab this. So this is a really cool mechanic in this game. It's called the Sun Moon Glove, and it's one of a couple different sort of equipments that I'm going to be getting over the course of the run. And as you can probably intuit based on the way I used it just there, if you activate it and you look directly at the sun or the moon, it does like this big mortar fire thing in a line between you and the sun or the moon, which is really powerful in combat and also used to get through some puzzles and boss fights and things like that. So yeah, now I'm essentially just taking this gun to the next fight, but I am going to stop here and take a tiny little pit stop and pick up another skill point. And there's actually a backup weapon right there in case I didn't get this gun, which happens periodically. So yes, I'm going to be using this time waiting on this stuff to trigger to spend my skill point. Most of the menuing in this game is done during downtime like that. There's some pretty good convenient locations, and this Wrathbird is very in my way. A little bit of RNG with how his placement is right there, but we got around him okay. Okay, so now we're heading to the Corwood Woods. The Corwood's a really interesting thing in the Xenoclash universe. They are essentially people that are weird even by the standards of Xenozoic, because they essentially like reject society in a very like poignant way. They essentially, oh god, I ran out of stamina. This is what we want to avoid in combat, but it happens. Okay, die, perish, suffer. This guy is probably my least favorite enemy to fight in the whole game. Something about like him being so tall makes him really hard to hit. Okay, that wasn't very fast. Okay, so now this guy's gonna spawn. I'm gonna punch him like once and I missed, but it's okay. And now I'm gonna manipulate them to stand close together if possible and use the Sun Moon Glove to hit them both. Okay, cool. We actually got them both. That's good for me. I'm really low on stamina here. Trying not to completely run out of stamina. Actually, yeah. Okay, that was actually timed pretty well. Okay, that was a pretty decent Corwood fight. So now I'm going to pick my gun back up, and you might notice that I had a gun during that fight, but I chose not to use it against those enemies. I used one shot at the very beginning to weaken him, but then threw the gun. That's because this next encounter is what we really want the gun for, which is the Wrathbird fight. So this is my friend Therium.
Good to see you.
Therium is another Father Mother's Children. And sort of at the end of the game in Xenoclash 1, slight spoilers, basically everybody who was one of the Father Mother's Children, which is like a lot of people, realized they were adopted, in short. And so Therium decided he was going to try and find his like real mother. But turns out, actually, that was terrible aim. Pretend I'm good at this game, please. And so he's out here in the Corwood Woods because his mom apparently became a Corwood. And her whole thing, again, because Corwoods are like weird entities who, not entities, they're people, that live by their own rules, basically. She's decided that she wants to build statues out of the corpses of these birds, for whatever reason. Because the Corwoods don't really need reasons, that's sort of their whole thing. And so Therium is trying to snap her out of being a Corwood. And so he is trying to help her, basically. He thinks that if he helps her enough, maybe she'll be satisfied and she'll come back to society. And we need Therium because he's a big boy who is going to help us do some stuff here in a little bit. Oh, I need to pick that up, thank you. Okay, so now I'm about to enter one of the only unskippable cutscenes of the game. I'm gonna spend my skill points and wait on it to start. There we go. So for whatever reason, this and like one other cutscene is unskippable. I don't know why. But we get to hang out with Therium for a little bit, which is nice, and his mom with her lovely flower hat.
We'll have to sleep here. One of us stays awake at all times.
So yeah, basically after this we are able to recruit Therium, which is actually the first character in the game besides Rimat, who is always in our party. He's the first character that we can actually recruit as like another person that we can summon in fights. And he's going to be extremely useful in the next area. Okay, now this cutscene is skippable, and I'm just going to make sure to add him to my party. I have forgotten to bring him along before, and it made me very sad, because he's the best boy. Okay, now a lovely little stroll through the Corwood Woods. This is a fight that you can just run past, which is nice. And I'm going to use this fast travel station to head back to the outskirts, because now we're heading to an area called the Avadusa Shore. And this area is... oops, did not mean to do that. Caught me mashing A button for whatever reason. So this area is basically a bunch of cutscenes in a fight. I mean, I guess that's sort of what the whole game is, the cutscenes and fights, but no. So as you can see, there's another gate up here, but handy-dandily, we can actually simply walk around it. For whatever reason, that we can walk just perfectly around that. We don't have to wait on the Moon Gauntlet at all. Here's another short and skippable cutscene.
Here we could get a boat to find that island Father-Mother told us about.
Boop, boop, boop. Okay, cool. We're in. So now I basically just walk in a straight line through the shore. Doesn't the shore look lovely, chat? Like, wouldn't you want a vacation here? I don't know about y'all, but I think it looks delightful. Just how I'd expect the seashore to look in a game. Okay, I'm gonna trigger this cutscene and then skip it, and then trigger this cutscene and then skip it. So, if you play the first Xenoclash game, you might recognize some of these characters. Rimat, who is our deuteragonist here, she was a villain in the first game. And Diadra, who was our companion in the first game, now is down here at the shore, minding her business. Because a bunch of people in Xenozoic are dealing with the Golem's laws in a different ways. So here, Rimat and some other people, some other Father-Mother's children, have decided to make their own city, basically, but better. Okay, so here's where I'm going to call Therium, and just right off the bat, we're getting right into this new strat with this fight here. Basically, I miss a bunch of shots, apparently. Okay, that was very strange. Hold on, trying... Oh no, I'm missing a lot of shots. Please. Okay, well that's bad. Okay, we're gonna figure it out though. Okay, so summoning Therium, he essentially keeps all these dudes stationary there, so I can hit him with the hammer and get them with a grenade. The grenades in this game are super powerful. However, humanoid enemies will run away from them when you throw them. Oh no, I almost just hit Therium. There is friendly fire in this game. Okay, is that everybody? Okay, yeah, that's all of them. Okay, that was actually a really good grenade. So now they're cleaning up this last dude who dropped a gun, which I'm gonna want to get, but I just want to make sure he actually goes down first. Excuse me, I'm trying to punch this man. Game. Can we punch? Thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna take his gun. Okay, so successful shore fight. Now I'm just going to trigger this cutscene and skip it and load into the next area. So now I'm approaching the area that is the first boss of the game. There is a backup weapon here in case I did not get that guy's gun, but I did, as you can see. So we're schmoovin'. And stamina ran out. You have to be careful throwing the gun. For whatever reason, the gun cannot be thrown through that door. I don't know why.
I've seen these people before.
It's really interesting how, when throwing weapons, how they just behave weirdly with the physics. Like, sometimes there's certain walls or there's nothing there, they just can't go through it, even though you can walk through it. I don't know, it's a bit strange. You also really need to be careful about where and how you throw weapons in this game for a couple different reasons. Because it is the handiest, fastest way to reduce our stamina back to reset. But sometimes if you throw it in the wrong place, it will just clip through the world and you'll lose it. Or another thing to note too about picking up weapons is that once you throw them, you can't pick them back up until they stop moving. So there's some weapons that are round maces, sort of. And if you throw them and they start rolling down a hill, you have to like wait until they completely stop moving to pick them up, which is super annoying. Okay. Make sure I have my Sun Moon Gauntlet on for this. We're not going to summon Rimont for this fight. And this boss is pretty straightforward. It's pretty consistent, basically. Shoot him 3 times. And then throw the gun at him to be, you know, for good measure. Wait for him to go down. And then use the and then use the use the Sun Moon Gauntlet on him. Basically all bosses in this game have the same sort of 3 cycles. You take about 1/3 of their health, and then they will go down any minute now. And then you either hit them with the Sun Moon Gauntlet, or a melee weapon, or a Rage Meter move. He's about to go down. Okay. Oh, that didn't work. Theoretically, you can hit him with a Rage Meter move. Okay, cool. There he goes. Yep, sometimes it just says no. Okay, there's the first boss. So yeah, depending on what resources you have available, you can approach, like, finishing off bosses in different ways. But now I have the second piece of equipment that I'm going to be using a lot of, which is the Golem Gauntlet. Golem Glove? I can't remember. I think it's called Golem Glove. And as you can see with that puzzle, it essentially allows us to do what that boss's mechanics were supposed to be doing, if I didn't kill him so fast. And that is that you can link 2 objects or enemies together. Oops. And then body blocking moment. Yeah, so if you link 2 enemies together, essentially doing damage to one of them does damage to both of them. And you can also use that to solve puzzles and press buttons and things like that from a distance. So this is a tool that is going to serve us very well in the future. Okay, so now we just do a little walkie walk and avoid some spawning in enemies that have really consistent places they spawn in, other than the ones in the hallway, so it's not too hard to dodge them. And head to the next area. Easy peasy. Oh, my dogs say hi. They're wishing me good luck.
Hello, puppy.
Aw, yeah. You know, Run is blessed when there's, you know, dog borks in the background. Okay, so now I'm just running. I'm just running really. I ran so far away across the Wrathbird fields. So yeah, this is an area that if you're playing the game casually, you're probably going to spend a lot of time in, because it's the biggest open area in the game, and there's like lots of stuff hidden around here, lots of side quests and stuff. But this is the only time we go there in the speedrun. Dodge that guy. That guy is, that Wrathbird usually, it only spawns in there like, I don't know, like 15% of the time. And that is the first time I've ever seen him actually try to attack me, so you know, that's fun. Where enemies spawn and how they behave is the biggest RNG in this game. So since I had Therium in my party, I was able to use him to move that rock so I could get some secret skill points there. It's definitely worth the time to get that, because that means that we can max out our strength. So these are some mercenaries that the Golem sent after us. Oh, I forgot to change this earlier. That's okay. And they show up a couple times in the run, but we can literally ignore them 100% of the time. $68 until 1K? Oh my gosh, folks, come on, get those donations in. I believe that by the end of the run, we can totally hit that, and I
know,
really
that's what I've been saying this whole time, man.
I know, and yeah, and I want to see Mash's super secret surprise I saw him talking about in the chat, so let's do it. 58. Oh, it's even less! That's like nothing. That is nothing. Okay, so now I'm going to do this little skip here, which lets us get up on this ledge. That was actually really smooth. That's a pretty tricky skip. And now this little area is like the only 2 like actual skips in the run. So that one was a really small skip that didn't save too much time. But now I'm going to be doing a boss skip. So yes, I'm just going to keep running towards our quest marker here, and this boss, normally you have to do lots of stuff with the Golem Gauntlet, linking together all these orbs, and stuff, but because the physics is weird, and because the game doesn't ever expect us to go vertically in any way, we can just get over the boss arenas. Let's see if I can do this first try. Alright, so basically I just run to his foot, put my face into the wall, and boom, we're out of bounds. So yeah, because the boss's feet have collision on them, we can run on them, and then as he takes a step, it lifts us up high enough that we can get over the arena. And then we load the next area from behind, outside of bounds.
We're going to face.
Alright, so now End World. This is an interesting part of the game. Essentially, it's just more puzzles using the Sun Moon Gauntlet. There's no sun or moon here, but we can use these crystals that light up. So I'm going to be doing some blind movement, activating these crystals, and hopefully doing it fast. Okay, got some blind movement there. I'm going through this thing that does damage, but I don't care because I have plenty of health to activate that thing. Now, there's some enemies here that are butt heads. And so let's see if I get the coward's time loss or not. Basically, I can get this trigger from here. Oh, yep, I got it. I was a little bit hesitant there because I wanted to make sure I didn't have to do it again. So I'm losing a little bit of time here waiting on the cycle to come around, but not a big deal. So that lights the fuse and I can run here. And now there's some more blind movement. Hopefully I can get it here. I did some weird camera stuff there, so... Oh, got it. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, so now I'm going to be just solving some puzzles, so this is a nice moment for some donations or any messages if you have any.
We're actually in luck because we just got $20 from Mads Brutal
Oh,
without
hey.
a comment. However, they did put their donation towards choosing a costume for Aya in the upcoming Onechambara Origin run, excuse me. So right now we have for Saki the Tsukai Combat G, and for Aya right now is the sweater dress. So if you want to see what those are going to look like, exclamation point costume. And if you'd rather see something else, you know, it's just a quick click and donation away. Just make sure that you choose which one you want to see when you check out. So yeah, and it's for a great cause too. So yeah, if that helps.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely get those donations in. We're so close to 1K. It would be so amazing. Oops, if I can remember how to do puzzles, that's what would be amazing. Cool. So yeah, essentially I'm just linking orbs and punching orbs. Hope we like orbs in the chat because there's a lot of orbs in this game. So yeah, this is End World. This is actually an area that is almost identical to how it was in the first game. This is actually where the golem, where we first found the golem and awoken him. So this is like his palazzo. So I'm gonna be linking. This fight can go bad. So let's see. I've got a bunch of grenades, which is usually the deciding factor of how well it turns out. Because basically in the game there is a little bit of RNG, mostly with like the enemy behavior, but also with some item drops. So every time I open one of those like clamshell chests, it's gonna have oh my god, they've got me backed into a corner real bad here. I'm not a big fan of that, if I'm being honest. So let's not do that anymore. Let's link, please. So yeah, the chest RNG, they can essentially have either health, grenades, or extra power meter. In general, the power meter is gained by completing combos, or by taking damage, or by finding those drops. So that fight actually went pretty okay despite getting cornered there. So yeah, so I got lucky that I had 3 grenades there. Normally I'm hoping for having 1 grenade at that point. There's only a few places in the game where grenades are useful, but that's one of them. Because, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, with humanoid enemies, they will run away from the grenade, which makes it very hard to actually hit with them, because they will stop what they're doing instantly to avoid that grenade. But the like automaton enemies will not run from them, so you can use that to our advantage. And as you saw, I was also using this Golem Gauntlet to link together enemies during that fight, which just makes our damage more efficient, because then if they're linked, and I hit one of them with a grenade, it counts as hitting them both with a grenade, even though they're on opposite sides of the arena. Okay, so we got past Endworld here, and Endworld is called Endworld because it's supposed to be the end of the world. At least that's what everybody in Xenozoic thought. But apparently there is rumors that there is something beyond the world, so that's where we are right now. The first Xenos to take steps beyond the borders of Xenozoic. And as you can see, there are some very strange artifacts here that don't look like anything that we've ever seen before in Xenozoic. And so we're getting these weird visions. These are unskippable little surreal segments. But we just have to go through and get all 3 of these triggers. And yeah, enjoy some chill vaporwave vibes that are definitely not the White Room from Kingdom Hearts 2. Anyway, so I did use time here to make sure I have the Golem Gauntlet, or the Sun Moon Gauntlet on, because it's what I'm going to be using for the next boss fight. The next boss fight is Caxte, who is the Golem. His name is Caxte. And he is one of 4 golems, as it turns out. And so he is going to be stopping us here because, as it turns out, Xenozoic is sort of like a weird social experiment. Like, there's like an actual city and stuff outside of Xenozoic. And the golem's job is to keep us from leaving, basically, and going into the broader world. So that's what he's doing. He's trying to stop us. But the problem, and why the other golem was like all messed up, is because they've been in Xenozoic for so long, over so many generations, that a lot of them have either gotten bored and like interfered, like creating laws and stuff, or they've just like melted away to nothing. And I had really bad luck there. He was blocking like all of my hits, and now he's like not triggering his thing. Okay. Thank you. Basically, I summon Rimat in this fight so that she can share the aggro a little bit, because he's way easier to hit if he's targeting her and not me. Because he can hurt pretty bad. And unfortunately, I also lost my weapon really early. And that's actually okay to take damage there, because it refills some of my power meter, which is a way more efficient way to deal damage here. And I'm actually, in doing this, I'm completely ignoring the main mechanics of the fight. But I'm actually, because I have low power meter, I'm going to go ahead and do it normally. So you're supposed to be linking him to this orb, which gives us infinite rage meter, as you can see. And I can use that to just wail on him. And there's other attacks I can do in this form, but this is the fastest, and they all do roughly the same amount of damage, so... And that's Caxte. Okay, that actually was okay. I've been having a really bad habit of dying to him, so I'm really... even though I'm looking at my health, I was literally 1 hit away, so that was really scary. Yeah, the White Room's just Nominee's room? Yeah, no, literally. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up this hammer, and this is the one I was talking about where you don't want to throw it to regain your stamina, because if you do and it lands on like a tiny little hill, it will roll, and you can't pick it up until it stops rolling. And yeah, I'm going to be carrying this all the way, like, across the whole entire world, basically. There's a lot of backtracking during this segment of the game, unfortunately. But so, even though I don't want to throw it, because I don't want to lose it on accident, or have to wait to pick it up, I'm just going to be doing 2 regular attacks with it. Which is slower, but it's way safer, and I don't have to sit and wait, and it's way more predictable. But with this weapon in particular, and with most two-handed, like, melee weapons, you have to be really careful that you don't spam attack inputs. If you just sit there, because I'm on controller, so if I sit there and I spam right trigger trying to, like, you know, get through combat and hit as fast as possible, you can get a, what we've taken to call a squish lock, because it's not really a soft lock, but essentially makes it to where you can't attack anymore. You can't drop the weapon, throw the weapon, and can we please go through there? Thank you. And sometimes it even stops you from moving until either you take damage or you reload checkpoint. For some reason with this weapon, it's like that. So yeah, I have to be very, very careful with inputs when using this mace. Okay, so now we're backtracking. I'm gonna be heading to not there. Menu moment. Corwood Woods. I almost forgot where I was going. And so now essentially we're if I remember correctly, the lore of what's happening right now is that we defeated the golem, but the golems have the ability to link to like everybody in Xenozoic. That's as demonstrated by our golem gauntlet. And our golem is linked to us basically, and so even though we damaged him severely and changed his mind or whatever, if he dies, we die basically. So now we're trying to find parts to fix him because the golems aren't organic. They're like part organic, part synthetic. So essentially he told us about this place called the Pink Tower, where the East Golem lives. And so now we're on a mission to get to the Pink Tower. But like nobody knows how to get there, except for this one guy that we heard of who's out here in the deep woods, who is the two-headed man. So we're about to meet the two-headed man.
There he is.
We'll see him in detail here in a moment. And he's actually from the Pink Tower. So like how I said, the golems are... some of them are bored and some of them are intervening in life in Xenozoic. The East Golem took to experimenting on people and like splicing their genes together. Because he was bored, I guess. So it's heavily implied that that's sort of why the people in Xenozoic look so weird. Like, it's over like thousands of generations that they've just mutated, and because the East Golem has been experimenting on people's genes. Anyway, so the two-headed man is from there, and as you can imagine, he's two-headed because he's from there. And so he can allegedly tell us how to get to the tower. But he's hiding. I can't remember if he's hiding or if they're keeping him trapped or what, but essentially these four singers in the forest, he's like scared of them, and so he won't come with us until we beat the ever-living crap out of them. So we're gonna be performing some violence on his behalf so that he will help us, as we are apt to do. So I'm just, and these can spawn in lots of different locations, but basically they will spawn in which, oh, that was actually really good RNG. So I'm gonna take this little safe. Okay, cool. So yeah, these can spawn in a lot of different locations, but just whichever locations you visit first are where they spawn. So it's routed to make it to where the, basically the easiest to get to in a row are where we're at. So this is where I want to make sure not to spam the inputs too much, because I will get a lock. Okay, cool. Easy. Okay, so we defeated the singers and we can go back to the two-headed man.
Let's go back to the two-headed man.
Don't mind if I do, Gat. Okay. Here he is. Here's our little man.
Won't hurt you anymore.
He's just a little guy. Hey, buddy. Come with me. Alright, cool. Two-headed man is my favorite little lad. Okay, and we recruited him, so now we can take him to the Pink Tower, which is on literally the opposite end of the world. We're on, like, the far west, and now we have to go east, to the east side where the Pink Tower is. So this section is going to be a lot of walking. So, yeah, we're on our way there. Is there any other, messages or anything you want to say while we're on this long walking section?
Unfortunately, there's no more donations right now, but I did just want to let everybody know a little bit more about the charity that we are raising money for. They are To Write Love on Her Arms. They are a non-profit movement dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. They exist to encourage, inform, inspire, and invest directly into treatment and recovery. They want you to know that rescue is possible, freedom is possible. They're seeing it happen. People sitting across from counselors for the first time, people stepping into treatment. In desperate moments, people are calling suicide hotlines. They know that the first step towards recovery is the hardest to take. They want to say here that it's worth it. Your life is worth fighting for. It's possible to change. You matter. And on a more personal note, I do want to reinforce to everybody listening right now, you matter. It doesn't matter like if it's one person. You do matter to somebody. And if you are, having trouble, please reach out, because it's horrible to wind up losing somebody to something like that. And unfortunately, I have dealt with that in the past, and it's awful. So yeah, sorry to be a downer.
No, it's a really important message, and it's a really important cause, and I'm just really happy to be part of it. And yeah, totally.
We're happy to have you here. So.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Hideout.
Cool. We're almost done with our lovely walk across the vistas of Xenozoic. Upcoming here, we're going to see our friends, the mercenaries again, which once again we can just completely ignore and run past, which is lovely, because the more fights we can not do, the more time we save, of course. So, just going to be doing that. The collision on this walkway is very generous, so yeah, you can just sort of... Oh, hello. There's also a guy there with a grenade launcher, and sometimes the RNG will just cause it to explode right at the moment where you have control of your character again, which is just like a free 3-second, 4-second time loss. But we didn't get that. And so now this is just a series of elevators where I'm going to be linking together these orbs so that I can punch the one I can reach, and then turning on these elevators. This split, even though it's it's probably like the longest split other than I don't know, it's the longest in terms of like distance traveled. But it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty linear. It's really just a matter of maximizing stamina management and not hitting terrain or getting stuck on enemies and that sort of thing. This area up here is probably the diciest part of this whole segment of the game, because I have to... Also, there's shrimps. Goodbye, shrimps. There's a, please. Wow, shrimps have been very body blocky today. Essentially, I have to link together these orbs while some enemies are trying to attack me, and they can do all kinds of stuff, like punch me a lot, and kill me, because they do a lot of damage. They can also, eat the input for the link, because remember that the Golem Glove can link together enemies as well as these orbs. So, if you accidentally hit an enemy with it, you then have to punch the enemy instead of the orb, which isn't impossible, but it's more dicey for sure. And also, if you miss it, if you miss the elevator, or if you miss, if you link them and don't get it activated in time, you have to wait on the cooldown, which is quite long, and often those 3 enemies on that very narrow platform will just mutilate you. So yeah, but we got it, so it's not a problem. So now I'm going to be navigating to the pink tower here, doing some shortcuts, just to remove a little bit of the pathing that you normally have to do. That lever you have to activate because it opens a gate up here. For any talented glitch hunters listening, I am extremely convinced that there is a massive skip to be found in this segment. I have not been able to find it yet, because it is possible to get out of bounds, but I haven't been able to trigger the cutscene, and also that gate feels like it should be possible to get around, but thus far I've not been able to figure that out, so... Open invitation. I will buy a Mountain Dew Baja Blast for anybody that is able to figure out how to skip this section, or at least shorten it. Anyway, but so now we're just doing some climbing. This is the pink tower, which is where the 2-headed man is from, as you can see by all the other little 2-headed men around. And yeah, we're just going to be having a lovely little bridge walk here. This segment of the game casually is really intense and dramatic, but in the speedrun you can actually just run past everything, because the cycles are timed perfectly so that if you just run, you don't have to stop and wait on any cycles. Because up ahead, you see those, arms on the side of the bridge. Those shoot lasers, while you're having to normally fight all these enemies. But we can just run past them, and yeah, the laser cycle is such that we can just literally just keep running in a straight line. Easy peasy. Really curious, who, designed the architecture in this game? Who built this? I don't know. Anyway, so now the favorite part of any speedrun. A 40-second long, unskippable elevator ride. So maybe it's not 40 seconds. It feels like 40 hours. And then we have the next boss fight coming up, which is the most technical, most difficult, longest boss fight in the entire game, or probably in all of speedrunning. I hope you all are ready for this. Okay, it's coming up. Are you ready?
He might attack us just like the other ones.
Done. Whew. Man, that boss fight always stresses me out, let me tell ya. Let me tell ya.
But the east.
It's the south goal.
But through the power of skill and gaming, we were able to press the X button and defeat him. So as it turned out, the East Golem, who we were going to because we could hopefully get some like parts from him to fix the other Golem, is completely dead and ruined. And then the last Golem, the South Golem, shows up and is essentially like, "Mwahaha, I know something you don't know. I'm gonna fix the other Golem, but now you have to pass my test," or something like that. So now we have to run all the way back to Halcedon. Which Halcedon is like the main city in Xenozoic, but in the speedrun we don't spend much time there at all. Especially because, you know, lore-wise we're sort of excommunicated after breaking out Father Mother from jail. You know, as one does. But now it's time for the prodigal son's return. So, we're just going to keep going and managing our stamina here. Basically the same old song and dance of any sort of long stretch in this game. So even though, in general, like, stamina doesn't matter too much where you have to reset it, as long as you reset it. But sometimes it can make a really big difference of, you know, where there's like convenient places to reset your stamina. Sometimes if a fight is long or if you use more stamina than normal, you might have to reset your stamina in weird places, which can really be disorienting sometimes with this game. So it's nice to be a little bit adaptable. Okay, now I get to say hi to dog. Hello, dog. Goodbye, dog. You cannot pet the dog in this game. You can punch the dog, but I refuse, so we're moving on. Alright, we're gonna punch this guy and steal his stuff. Where did it go? Oh, there. Oh my god, it like went over my head. But we got it. That's what matters. Back with the beloved hammer, which does a butt ton of damage and is really easy to scoop up enemies. Because these next couple of fights are pretty big fights with a lot of enemies. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of linking enemies with the Golem Glove. And a lot of using weapons that help us do this as efficiently as possible. So instead of fighting them here, they're like chasing me right now. I'm going to run over here to this slope and start linking them together. Ideally these two because they have the most health. And this slope allows me to scoop them up with a hammer, and as you can see right there, whenever enemies start throwing grenades at me, it rolls down the slope and just gets them, which is, you know, whoops, my cooldown's not up on that. Yeah, same thing with the grenade launcher, which I'm gonna try and link him from back there. Okay, cool. That way when I hit this guy up here, he's going to... Oh my god, something exploded. I don't know what that was. And one other thing about this slope that is really nice is if the fight gets sort of unruly, like enemies start going everywhere, you can then use the Sun Moon Glove from up there. How did that miss? Are you serious right now? Okay. That's weird. There's one more enemy that gets stuck on stuff. Yeah, he's way back over there. But that was actually pretty okay. Other than my grenade launcher shots inexplicably not connecting with that guy, that was actually a pretty good fight. And there's actually a couple different ways to approach that fight. Like, I do lose time by running past enemies to go to the slope, but it helps them be all grouped up, and it makes me a little bit more safe from grenades and stuff, so that is definitely my preferred strategy there. Okay, so now we're back here, and we're gonna go down the road. This is an area that we haven't been to in the game yet. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the huge raid, y'all! Appreciate that. Yeah, host, you want to take a moment, welcome in the raiders?
I will indeed. Thank you all so much. Welcome, Raiders from Brocentra's stream. We do appreciate you being here. We are raising money right now. Excuse me. For to write love on her arms. They are a nonprofit movement that are here to help people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide, and they help to invest into treatment and recovery for other such mental illnesses. Thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it. If you would like to help with this, go ahead and hit !donate, or well, !D, excuse me, and you will be sent to our Tiltify link. Right now we have a poll that's going on right now for the run after this for Onechambara Origin for the costumes for Saki and Aya. Right now, Tsubaki Combat G and the sweater dress are in the lead, and we are also having a giveaway from Razor Games and also New Blood Interactive. You just need to select one of those when you check out. Unfortunately, if you want to do both, you will have to do 2 different donations, but that's fine. Anyway, thank you again for all being here. We do appreciate it. And back to you.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, this fight is a really dicey one. Oh, as you can see, I just got bum rushed. Because the enemies that we're fighting are very unpredictable, and there's a lot of them. Hopefully I can get her killed very soon, because the large enemies in this game are really pain to fight normally, and I was able to wrap it up okay. So essentially, for some reason, the last golem here is trying to test us. And so he essentially re-kidnapped Father Mother, and also gathered together all of the real parents of the Father Mother's children. That's who all these people are. And he asked us to choose, basically, do we, serve quote-unquote justice to Father Mother, or do we, disappoint our parents, essentially. And we choose disappointment, because now we're more valued, we more value our found family than our quote-unquote, like, biological family, so, is that it? Okay, cool. Alright, bet. That actually was a pretty good fight. Not as good as the first one earlier, but not too bad. That if I can go so many different ways, because there's so many different enemies. But what I did there to sort of mitigate the randomness was I made sure to summon Rimat there, because she pulls the aggro of about half of them, which lets me focus on some of the more dangerous enemies first with, my resources like the Golem Gauntlet and the Sun Moon Glove. And now we're just, we're walking back to the final boss. The run is almost over. We now have to defeat the South Golem because of reasons. So, yeah, let's return to Halstedom and, beat one more dude up. So yeah, what I did right there, though, is I grabbed that gun. That was the exact same gun that I picked up, in the jailbreak split at the very beginning of the run. And it's going to be useful for this fight as well. There's a couple different guns that you can bring into this fight based on preference. There's a grenade launcher you can grab through a wall that's pretty in a pretty convenient place. But I grabbed this gun because it's a more fast shot. And in general, the boss doesn't take much damage from guns anyway, and it's more useful for dealing with the little enemies, as you're about to see. Okay, and this boss is terrifying, so if I could get some, good vibes in the chat, some good luck. I die to this boss a lot, so here's hoping that maybe I can die no more than once. We're gonna see what happens. It's a very finicky boss, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So, essentially, this boss is going to be using his version of the Golem Gauntlet to link me and the other Golem. Which means that whenever time he takes damage, I'm gonna take damage. But what I'm gonna do is use my gauntlet to link the two of them together. Excellent. And then he's going to then disable the link so that he isn't taking damage. And I got really bad RNG here. So whenever he takes damage, he drops the hammer. But the physics is such that the hammer got stuck for a moment. So I might not have time to do this in one cycle. No. Yeah, so that was another example of you not being able to pick up items until they stop moving. It was jittering because it got stuck on his leg. So that sort of sucks. Please break the link. Okay. Now you're gonna actually drop that. Drop it. Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh. Please stop. Don't block me. Let me hit you. Please. Okay, I think I got him. Oh no. He's like barely not... Okay, yeah, so just like the other bosses, they like go down whenever they hit a certain damage threshold, and I just barely got it there. Okay, so now he's doing his villain speech, so I'm going to be taking this time to kill some of these minions, because they can be a huge pain here later. I actually killed them both, which is really awesome. That is not super typical. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and link them, even though I know a cutscene's about to start that's going to cancel the cycle, but I'm going to see how much damage I can get off first. Okay, yeah, so I wasn't able to get a hit off first. So now this phase of the boss fight, he essentially sets down these inhibitors that break my glove. And so I have to destroy them to be able to link them together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's some manips you can do with this to make it fast but not safe, but I'm going to take the safe thing because, again, this fight can get so dicey. Ow, ow, ow. That's an example of what we don't want to start happening. Okay, hammer. And punch with hammer. Oh my god, and his blocking. Okay, okay. One more hit. Okay, okay. Cool. Alright, we got the second phase down. Alright, bet. Now let's see. Oh no, he started his second speech. So yeah, so it's actually possible to get this boss, to kill this boss before this cutscene starts, using various good luck manipulations. Because now more inhibitors are dropping, and I'm gonna have to deal. Oh, but I was able to get the hammer, so we might still get it without having to deal with the other inhibitors. I got the 2-hit on the hammer, and time is going to be coming up pretty soon. And... time. Okay, that was actually a really good third phase of the boss, sort of unexpectedly. Okay, that actually went really well, thank you. Yeah, so yes, we defeated the South Golem, and the North Golem here is going to kill himself with the South Golem and end the reign of the Golems over Xenozoic. We did it. We did it, fam. So yeah, that was Xenoclash 2. It's one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite games of all time, just casually. I love the world, and the plot's actually really interesting. It has a lot of interesting themes and things to say. It is a speedrun too, it's pretty fun. There's a lot of room for player expression with the combat. There's so much room for improvement on the run, and so many glitches that I know are waiting to be discovered, so yeah. It's always cool to show off. I love having chances to show off more obscure speed games that have like, you know, like 5 or less people on the leaderboard, because it's like a lot of what I run, so yeah, thank you so much for having me here. Hopefully it was fun. If anybody is down, is interested in the game and has questions, you can feel free to reach out to me at any time. What system is this? I think it's on most consoles, but I'm playing it on PC. I see in the chat a question. Yeah, so that was, I'm RoadKillRevenge. I stream this game periodically. I just recently broke the world record, so I'm probably taking a break from it for a little while, but
congratulations.
Also, thank you. I also speedrun Spyro and some other things, and yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/RoadKillRevenge or at RoadKillRevenge on Twitter.
Awesome, and that was such a great run. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Coming up next is going to be Shark Hat doing an Outlast run, so if you want to stick around for that, that's going to be so helpful. And I'm sure everybody's going to help get us over that $1,000 limit, right, chat?
We're going to do it. Also, what was my final time, if you don't mind me asking?
Final time was 55:12.
Nice. Not too bad.
Nah, definitely underestimate, so.
So sorry. I know we're already ahead.
Nah, it's fine. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and for doing the run, and we just really appreciate it.
All right, awesome. Thanks again for having me.
Just gonna make it back to the store.